Welcome to Assertive Training, where we're going to talk about the 4 general states in which people live their lives, communicate, and handle conflict. Assertive Training is, of course, part of the Love and Life Skills series geared for healing the relationships with yourself and others. This chapter and the next contain some powerful life skills, so make sure that you not only watch this video, but that you watch the next one on assertive confrontation. There will be a test. No, just joking. In the first video of this series, I posed the question, how did I lose self-value? And the answer is always abuse in all of its different forms. It could be the abuse that people delivered to you from the outside, or the abuse that you deliver to yourself from the inside. But any way you look at it, abuse disintegrates self-esteem. In the second video, we discussed ways to begin healing low self-value by setting protective boundaries in all areas of your life. We also learned from the first video that dysfunction lies in extremes. This video will teach you how to recognize the balanced position when handling conflicts and interacting with other people. So we're going to start with those extremes. Here we go. The first extreme is passive. Passive people allow others to hurt, control, or take advantage of them. Passive people find it difficult to stand up for themselves. The opposite extreme is aggressive, where people take advantage of, hurt, or control others to get what they want. The third extreme is a combination of the two, which is passive-aggressive, where they take advantage of, hurt, or control others while trying to look innocent. This is particularly diabolical and hard to detect because their motive is bad, but they appear good doing it. Many have mastered the skill of making their victims look like the bad guys, and they walk away looking innocent. Balanced and fair is assertive, so you don't hurt others, but you also don't allow others to hurt you. So let's start by exploring passive. Let's see what it looks like and try to understand why some people would choose that stance. A passive person's way of thinking is, you win and I lose. They tend to disregard their own beliefs, needs, wants, and feelings to please others. They're smiling on the outside while they're crying on the inside. They tend to take on too much because they can't say no. They're people pleasers, try to be all things to all people, and oftentimes they take the blame that belongs to others. Now there's a much longer list, but I'm not going to put it here. You can find that in the supplementary material. But you might be asking yourself, who in their right mind would ever take the passive stance? It sounds like a terrible way to live. Well, the sad answer to that question is that it used to be me. Yeah. That's how I was socialized to be. It wasn't something I chose, but I just didn't know any other way. So when I stepped out into the big wide world as an adult, I had the attitude that everyone knew more than me, everyone was better than me, and that if I would be really nice to everyone and not cause waves, that I might win their approval. Painful? Yes. And vulnerable to predators. Here are some possible beliefs that passive people have that put them in that kind of a position. People will like me and I'll get my needs met if I have no opinion, make no conflicts, don't cause trouble, and give everybody what they want. To stand up for myself is aggressive. To speak my truth bothers other people. And since I used to be passive, I can vouch that all of those are true and more. There are some perceived advantages to being a doormat, so let's take a look at some of those. It makes you look good, so you get other people's approval. It seems to make everyone happy because they get their way and you don't. It's safe not taking risks. I mean, what if I take a risk and I get it wrong and then I'm going to look bad? It's just better if I don't take risks at all. Relationships look good even if they're not. So those are some possible reasons that people think it's a good idea to be that way. But here's the disadvantages, at least the disadvantages to the self. You're taken advantage of. No boundaries or Bill of Rights. You may end up with stress-related health issues, which I did. You probably carry around with you many painful emotions, and you end up being like the martyr, exhausted after putting out everything that you have, and then resentful because all of that energy and effort is not coming back to you. And here's the disadvantages of being passive to others. Others don't know how to please a passive person because they won't say what they want. It's hard for others to watch their loved ones being taken advantage of. They tell you what they think you want to hear rather than what's true or real for them. But here's probably the worst thing about being passive. Passive people allow tyrants to reign. Tolerance is a crime when applied to evil. Oftentimes, when a person has been abused by one parent, they are more angry at the passive parent who stood by and watched it happening than they are at the parent who delivered the actual abuse. Passive may look nice, but passive can also mean weakness. And weakness invites aggression. The world is a dangerous place, not because of those who do evil, but because of those who look on and do nothing. Now to the opposite extreme, aggressive. I win, you lose. Critical, demanding, condescending, intimidating. Cause hurt or injury. Force their will on others. Need to win at all cost. One up. Don't care who gets hurt as long as I get my way. And here's some possible beliefs of aggressive people. Getting what I want is the only thing that matters. The goal is more important than the people who get hurt. You have to step on some toes to get what you want. And here's the perceived advantages. You get your way. You get to feel powerful, superior, smart, and in control. You get respect through fear, intimidation, and coercion. You get others to do what you want. But there are some disadvantages to the abuser as well. They have to deal with a guilty conscience, and they may try to calm that guilty conscience by blocking sensitivity to the pain inflicted on others. And they do that by blaming what they've done onto their victim, projecting as if it's the victim who has offended them, and more. It destroys self-respect and it kills intimacy. People fear instead of love abusive people. And then, of course, there's the disadvantage to the victims. It creates low self-esteem because of the abuse. They live in fear of the abuser instead of love. The victims may be crippled emotionally for a lifetime and have side effects like poor social skills and a whole long list of other things. You can find all of that in the supplementary material. Aggressors resist recovery because it's easier to blame than to look at themselves and change. And that's probably the biggest downside, is they have a really hard time changing and getting into recovery because, hey, it works for them. And then there's passive aggressive, which is I win, you lose, but I look innocent. This is a little more subtle way of hurting people. Gossip, procrastination, lying, saying one thing and doing another, silent treatment, neglect, irresponsibility, or inefficiency will try to sabotage your success. Like, for example, you're trying to lose weight and they bring you a batch of cookies. Of all of these three positions we've talked about so far, I think passive-aggressive is the most diabolical. Because if you see a mean guy, you know he's a mean guy. At least that person is being upfront and honest about who they are. But a passive-aggressive person may make you think they are your very best friend. They're sweet as pie to your face, but then they turn around and stab you in the back. Some may get your trust so that you allow them into the most intimate, vulnerable places of your life, and then they turn on you or let you down. They can wear masks like innocence, being highly religious, looking perfect, wearing a big smile all the time, and yet they may be using all of that and more as a cover-up for their real intentions. Here's some possible beliefs of passive-aggressive people. It's not abuse if I'm not doing anything. It's not abuse if I don't get caught. Game playing is fair. Whoever is the most manipulative wins. I get my way and still look good. Good intentions count. Can you ever vacillate between more than one of these positions? Yes. A person may swing between aggressive and passive-aggressive. Or a passive person may hold in their feelings, hold them for way too long until it explodes in rage. The point being, when you recognize that you are in a negative pattern of communication, catch yourself and make corrections. This is where you want to be. Assertive. I win, you win. An assertive person will go directly to the person they are having a conflict with, be honest and open about the problems, and seek to find a win-win solution for all involved. An assertive person uses their power to restore the balance of power for all. They know, claim, and defend their personal rights, but they also respect others' rights. They control their own lives, but they don't try to control others, except for those exceptions like the very young, the very old and infirmed, or severely handicapped. They use assertive means to stop abuse, and then they return to peaceful status. Like after the war with Japan, America actually helped to build her back up and made peace with her people. Here's some possible beliefs of assertive people. It is good to speak well of and defend yourself, even if others think you are egotistical. For example, I am a good person. I deserve to be treated well. If others don't like me, I still like myself. It's right to speak up even if it's uncomfortable. Honesty is expressed as long as it is not brutal. Problems can be resolved without abuse. The disadvantages of being assertive are that passive people sometimes misinterpret assertive for aggressive, rude, arrogant, or overconfident. And that's a shame because the passive people actually need to be assertive. Aggressive people won't like you because they can't dominate and control you anymore. Passive-aggressive people might do a smear campaign behind your back to get others to see you in a bad light because they see you're doing so well and you have your personal power and they don't like that. So they have to make you look really bad. But here are the advantages of being assertive. Okay guys, I know that I'm not supposed to put this many bullet points on any of these pages, but I just couldn't stop writing about how many benefits I've had from moving from passive to assertive. So turn down the volume and read it on your own time if you want to. Trust me, this is a short list. I could go on longer than this. Basically, my whole life has improved and my stress level has reduced since I got myself out of the passive mode and quit being a willing participant in the sick dance of abusers. And I'm so sad when I see a person still stuck in that passive mode and they will not change. But for me, I am passive no more. In the next video, I'm going to give you an assertive confrontation model that I learned years ago in my master's work. It helps you work out problems in a win-win fashion. If both or all parties involved are willing to play by the rules as outlined in that model, it can be very helpful to create peaceful and workable ways to get through conflicts. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you'd like to find the other videos, then go to findingthehealer.com. Then at the bottom of the homepage, you'll find the Love and Life Skills series by one of the blue butterflies. All of the videos from this series will be there and more to come, and the supplementary material that goes with each video. If you think this kind of change might be too hard, you can watch the introductory videos to SRT, which is Subconscious Repairing Therapy, on that same website, findingthehealer.com, and that might be exactly what you need to get past your stuck and painful place. So I only have one more thing that I want to say before this ends. Are you ready? Okay, here goes. Assertive people rock. And that's it. Ciao for now.